We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, January 8th. Yesterday, it was not great. We started off horribly. We did salvage the day somewhat with the late night games with Davidson beating those really bad Loyola Chicago Ramblers. And then how about Grand Canyon not just covering against Boise, winning the game outright and blowing out Boise State over at Extra Mile Arena over in Boise, Idaho. So we'll take the close of the night. Early games, all right. Chattanooga laid an egg. They let Furman go on a 15-0 run going into halftime, and they came out of halftime completely flat as well. So I'm done with Chattanooga for the rest of the season. Army takes Loyola Maryland into overtime. We're thinking, okay, well, Army's going to cover an OT like they have done numerous times so far this season. Nope. And then Oklahoma. Oklahoma's banned, guys. I never want to put U.S. currency or U.S. dollar on the Oklahoma Sooners ever again. Josh Hubbard is a very talented player, I'll tell you that. But Oklahoma, man. We're done with them. We're done with them permanently. Regardless, folks, before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets, so make sure to join us later in the day for that. Also on the channel, our college football predictions. Of course, today is the Fiesta Bowl between Ole Miss and, of course, the Miami Hurricanes, so make sure to join us for that video. Again, Peach Bowl predictions are in that video as well, and our NFL predictions for the wild card round are already posted on the channel as well. Okay, let's now get into the first of our 5 best bets for today. A lot of mid-major action. I don't think there's many just straight up Power 5 games today. I know Michigan State's playing, and I think that may be it. Michigan State and then Illinois is playing. I believe those are the only 2 Power 5 games today. I really want nothing to do with either of those. Illinois is a big favorite. They're 22.5-point favorite against Rutgers, and Michigan State is a huge favorite over Northwestern. So we're going to pass, and I will say this too, as we get on to the first of our 5 best bets, it's going to be FDU and Chicago State. There is an early game at 9:30 between Hofstra and Townsend. I'll say this, this is not a best bet at all, not even close to it. On paper, look at that game and say, okay, I know Townsend's supposed to be the better team, but Hofstra's been playing way better this year, but Townsend's favorite, and they're at home. Something seems up about that game. 100%, we are not touching that game at all. It's a very early spot at 9:30. I want nothing to do with it. Because it just feels like a weird game. So instead, we're going to kick our day off instead at 2 o'clock between Chicago State and Fairleigh Dickinson. I know this is horrible college basketball, and you know what? Get used to it for the first, 2/5 of this video. We're going to have a couple really bad games. But you know what? Sometimes that's where the value's at, is in the really bad basketball games. Because I think for our first 2 games, we have an edge on some home teams. The first one, again, being the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights. They're 2.5-point favorites at home against the Chicago State Cougars, and I'm more than willing to play minus 2.5 on FDU in this spot. I know, again, both these teams record-wise are horrible. Fairleigh Dickinson, 4-11. Chicago State is 2-13. We had FDU to beat St. Francis the other day, and obviously that did not go the right way for us as it was a high-scoring affair, but FDU ultimately lose to the Red Flash 82-85, and that's, well, it's not okay because we wanted to get that one, but it's all right for this game because that's, completely different spot. Sure, is St. Francis all that good? No. But I'll tell you this, Chicago State is worse. The NEC is a horrible conference of college basketball, okay? The best team supposedly in the NEC is supposed to be LIU Brooklyn or Long Island University. And then I would say it's Central Connecticut, and then I don't know who the hell would be next. I mean, it's a cluster of Mercyhurst, Lemoyne, New Haven, Wagner, FDU, Stonehill, St. Francis, Chicago State. I think I named all of them. I can actually just go look at a list. I think I did. It's a cluster of a conference of college basketball, but I can tell you this, Chicago State is still awful. This is a team historically, at least, definitely over the last 5 seasons, has been nothing but horrible. Last season, they started the year 0-15 before actually going on the road and beating Wagner. In 2023, actually, they weren't that bad. They went to the CBI. But last season was all-time horrible for Chicago State. I'm not saying they're as bad as they were last year because, they do have half of the wins that they had in the entire year last year with 2. And obviously, one of those victories is when we had Loyola Chicago to cover against them at home. But you know what? We finally got our get back against the Ramblers because thankfully that Chicago State game, that, Chicago versus Chicago matchup between the Cougars and the Ramblers really showed us how bad Loyola Chicago was this year. And what has Chicago State done since that one victory and only victory over Division I programs this year? Yeah, how about a 21-point loss at Bowling Green, a 20-point loss only by 20 to the Indiana Hoosiers, but shout out to Indiana for a great win yesterday. And I know it's completely unrelated. How about Stanford? Oh, man. big road victory. Game-winning 3 for Corey. Man, that team, ooh, dangerous. Chicago State, 2 games ago, loses to Wagner at home by 7 points, and then plays potentially the NEC representative in the NCAA tournament this year, the Long Island Sharks. And LIU beat them 74-55 on their home court. Now Chicago State's going on the road, first road matchup for them in NEC play, and you're taking on FDU, who I understand maybe if you had to rank all these teams in the NEC, they may be, I don't know if they're second to last or they're third to last, depending on where you want to put Stonehill, and honestly where you want to put New Haven as well, but I think Stonehill's probably second to last in the entire thing, probably, whatever. FDU is one of the lower teams in the NEC conference, but they're still at home. Chicago State's actually even worse, and it should be a fairly easy matchup for Fairleigh Dickinson, who is 1-1 in NEC play so far this season, winning their first game in a monstrous road victory, beating the Mercyhurst Lakers 74-67. Then they went to St. Francis and did lose by 3 points. High-scoring affair, but obviously couldn't get enough stops. And now they'll go back home to take on Chicago State in which should be a fairly easy win for this team. I know they have one Division I victory this season. It's at Mercyhurst. If you're counting, obviously, Chicago State has exactly one Division I win this season as well, even though theirs is actually a lot better. Well, is it better? Loyola Chicago sucks, so I don't know. FDU's other wins are at Lehman College, Menor College, and St. Elizabeth. Yeah, not going to put too much into that. But FDU, last game against St. Francis, I think it's encouraging, just the ability to score all those points. I don't, if they get into somewhat of a high-scoring shootout with Chicago State, I don't expect the Cougars to keep up. I'm looking at this FDU team again. I'm kind of impressed, I'll say. Eric Parnell, leading scorer, averaging 12 points per game. Joey Niesman's averaging 11, right? Parnell, senior from Florida, I believe. Played JUCO ball, I think, now coming on over to FDU. Joey Niesman, senior season, first year Division I basketball. He just dropped 23 in the St. Francis PA game. Obviously was not enough for the win. But what does Chicago State have coming back at Fairleigh Dickinson here? I mean, Marcus Tankersley is their leading scorer, averaging 13 points per game. Tankersley, a senior at Chattanooga, Tennessee. Last season at Alcorn State. 2 years prior to that, or actually in the 2 years before that, played 2 seasons at Detroit Mercy when they were really bad too. So Tankersley embracing the name of Tank. Get it? Because I know you can't tank in college basketball. Doyle Cockerill, averaging 13 points per game. He's their other main leading scorer. It's just, I don't know, man. Their stats don't look bad when you really watch this team play. It's a crappy offense that just takes a while to get going, and they, for the most part, have low-scoring games. There are exceptions, and the one pretty clear exception is Loyola Chicago, but when you look at the course of this Chicago State season, they just don't really play competitive basketball games, and you're asking them to go on the road for the first time in conference play against an FDU team, which may not be all that great either, but a team that at least I know that can score, and a team that gets the benefit of being at home in Hackensack, New Jersey, and it's not a light trip for Chicago State. They are going to the East Coast, or fully out to the East Coast, obviously, from, I guess you want to call the Midwest. No, Chicago's the Midwest. So give me FDU at home here. I'm seeing 2.5 right now. Hopefully it stays. I really think this is a good spot for the Knights. They should dominate the Chicago State Cougars, and again, cover the 2.5 points. On to our second best bet of the video, and I said again, early part of this video, going to be a lot of bad basketball. So I warned you, but I like this spot a lot. Now, I'm only seeing, I'll be honest, the only website as of now, I'm recording this video at 2 o'clock in the morning, the only site that I'm seeing odds for this game on is on ESPN, which I believe they're right, ESPN bet folded, so they're on DraftKings now. That's the only spot I'm seeing odds for this game as of 2 a.m. So hopefully, again, this video is going out in 3 hours when you're seeing it, so hopefully there are odds now. But anyways, from what I am seeing is dead even right now, or minus 110 on both sides, for the New Hampshire Wildcats going on the road to Newark, New Jersey to take on the New Jersey Institute of Technology, obviously NJIT, the Highlanders. Okay, give me NJIT at home. I know on paper, going into the year, New Hampshire is probably, or definitely expected to be a better team than the Highlanders. I'm going to go with New Jersey here. I think NJIT can win the basketball game. They are coming off a win on the road. Now, okay, it is Binghamton, who could be the worst college basketball team. I throw that term out a lot, but I mean, there are just a lot of really bad college basketball teams. But the Highlanders are successful in their road effort against Binghamton, winning the game 73-65. Prior to that, a loss to Pennsylvania, but NJIT 1-0 in the AM East. And AM East, NEC, both pretty bad basketball conferences. I would say the AM East is obviously a little bit better, but you do see a lot of low-level college ball up in the Northeast. It's just a staple of Northeast basketball, I guess. But The Highlanders coming off a win, beating Binghamton on the road. They got a huge 22-point performance out of Sebastian Robinson, who averages 11 points per game for this team. But recently, Robinson has really come on. Last 4 games, 15 points, 21 points, 10 points, and 22 points. Robinson in his junior season and 3rd season consecutively with NJIT. As for New Hampshire, the Wildcats are 4-10 this season. Their first American East game was against Vermont. As expected, the Catamounts win that game. The Catamounts are likely the favorite to win the Am East this season. I know we've had a very roller coaster ride of a year so far with Vermont, well, especially after their last game where they screwed us. But regardless, it looks like Vermont's the best team in the Am East. I'd be a little surprised if they don't win this conference, considering it's really bad. I mean, who's the second best team in the American East? UMBC? Yeah, Vermont's probably going to win the entire thing, but New Hampshire gets them at home, and the game's not competitive. The Catamounts win the game 80-61. New Hampshire got a decent effort out of one scorer and one scorer only, and that's Keyshawn Robinson. Robinson put up 12 points. The junior 22 points, he averages 12 points per game. Junior year, came from Hofstra, now starting at New Hampshire, and he is obviously the guy for the Wildcats. Other than Robinson, not much else to be over the moon about on this New Hampshire team. Again, like I previously mentioned, they're 4-10. Their only victories this season are a 1-point win against Stonehill, who obviously is new to Division I college basketball. Boston U at home by 6 points. That's great. I mean, if it was hockey, I'd like it. College basketball, whatever. Emmanuel University is what we're doing with this? Emmanuel University of Massachusetts and Curry College. Those are their wins, and that's it. Jack Graham's their leading scorer, averaging 12. Keyshawn Robinson is there as well, and then also Bilal Al-Shakri. I don't know, man. I mean, you got guys who, any given night can explode for 15 points. It's kind of how that works. Throughout the entire year, Jack Graham has been their best scorer. Former Richmond Spider, now over here with UNH, had a poor shooting performance in his last game against Vermont, but was, put up 18 points against St. Louis, put up 17 points against Nebraska, and ultimately, that's what New Hampshire's been forced with early in the season, is just taking bye games, going on the road, and getting pummeled for the most part. But they did get their fair share, I guess, at the same time, of winnable games. They just didn't come out on the right side. We already mentioned their wins, right? Boston U and Stonehill, but losing to Dartmouth on the road, albeit only by 1 point, but a loss to Fairfield on the road. Brown comes into town, and the Brown Bears beat them 59-47. They go to George Mason, expectedly lose the game by double digits, by 17 points. Go to Harvard, lose the game by double digits. Go to Clemson, lose the game by 50 points. I really think NJIT can win this game. There is momentum for the Highlanders. They do have a couple Division I victories as well. Actually, they have quite a few, as New Jersey, NJIT, is 6-10 this season. The D1 wins are Binghamton, which I know they're horrible, New Haven, first year of college basketball, FDU by 12 points, Loyola Maryland on the road, who just beat Army yesterday over in West Point, and Fordham on the road. Obviously, the Fordham Rams victory, the best victory they have all year. Fordham obviously playing in the zero-bid conference. Of course, I'm talking about the A10, but that's a huge victory over DeJour Reeves and the Rams in the first game of the season. Again, New Jersey has their fair share of just mid-losses, but they played a fairly difficult schedule. I'd say, don't love the home loss of Sacred Heart. It is what it is. Going to EMU and getting blown out. I mean, I think Eastern Michigan's not bad, obviously, like we saw earlier in the week. Playing Navy on the road, losing by 16 points. I mean, I don't know. That's not too horrible. I think Navy's probably the best team in the Patriot by far. So I don't know. I'm not too against this NJIT team. If they just show up and score, I think we're going to be okay. Again, Keyshawn Robinson, David Bolden as well has been probably their better scorer throughout the course of the season, right? Robinson had that big game in their last outing against Binghamton, but Bolden's been probably the most consistent scorer. True freshman who averages 12 points per game, but he does have some big nights against Penn. Against UPenn did score 18. So there's high scoring capability out of some of these players. We're going to likely see Bolden attempt quite a bit of 3-point shots. That's where he's most comfortable at. So if he can get going from beyond the arc, I think we're in a pretty good position here. Ultimately, I am going to go with NJIT. I know, again, it is a very poor level college basketball game. It's low level, but still, I think there's opportunity to be had with this. The game being in New Jersey makes a big difference. And sure, is it the longest trip going from New Hampshire over to Newark? No, it's not. But still, it's a home game for New Jersey. I believe they're slightly better, actually. And I think, again, with them being at home, I think they have the edge. I'm going to go with NJIT, who is 1-0 in the Am East, taking on the 0-1 New Hampshire Wildcats. I think the Highlanders can get it done. I know, again, the Wildcats just played the Catamounts, but I still think it's a pretty good spot for NJIT. So give me the New Jersey Institute of Technology to pick up a huge victory, currently listed at -110. Okay, rest of the night is only WCC action. We're going to go straight now to 7 o'clock, and yes, our third best bet is at 7 o'clock, so strap in for a late night day. That's contradictory. Late night, that's just all. It's a late night. Had it right the first time. Okay, Pacific going on the road to take on Portland over in the Chiles Center in Portland, Oregon. Absolutely give me the Pacific Tigers, or U of P, whatever you want to call them, to win the game outright. Now, the spread is -2.5. If you rather have 2.5, take it. I just think it's tremendous value straight up on the money line. And I think Pacific's the way better team. And I understand they should, if they win, they probably cover 2.5. I don't want to worry about that because I think -140 is ridiculous value. I was expecting this at -155. I've said it before. I'll say it again. My cutoff always on money lines is -145. -150 is only reserved for if I 100% think a team's going to win. -140, I'll still do it. Again, 45 is we're teetering on but I'll still play it. Pacific should win this basketball game. Absolutely. I don't want to worry about points because they're on the road, okay? If they were -140 at home, then we'd probably take the points because it should, obviously they have a better chance of winning by more points over in Stockton. We just need Pacific to come out of this game and come out on the road with a victory against the Portland Pilots, who have started West Coast play 0-4. It's important to look at the teams that they have played, though. Wazoo at home losing by 5 points. Wazoo so far is 3-1 in WCC play, losing at home to Santa Clara by 7 points. Okay, Santa Clara is Santa Clara. They're undefeated. More on them later in the video, like you obviously saw in the thumbnail. Portland then goes to Moraga, loses to St. Mary's 78-57, and their last game going down to San Francisco and losing it to the USF Dons. So they're 0-4, but are these bad losses? No, okay? I mean, if you really want to look at every single team that they played, Wazoo's 3-1 in the conference so far, San Francisco's 3-1, Santa Clara's 4-0, and the Gales of St. Mary's are 4-0 as well. However, Pacific is still better than this team. I don't care how many points they win by tonight. I just need a W in the win column for the Tigers. And this is a Pilots team, by the way, who has still yet to win a game since the Kent State victory, which we did accurately call, about 3 weeks ago now? And we've been high on Portland for quite a bit, but unfortunately, I have sold my stock after some of their most recent performances. And again, our stock is continuing to be sold here. Give me Pacific on the road. Okay, Portland, a lot of international talent. We've talked about the Aussies on this team, Joel Foxwell, James O'Donnell. They're a very international squad. Timo George is one of their other very great players who is not from Australia. He's Dutch. He's from the Netherlands, but it's a very international team that they have built over at Portland. Cameron Williams, I believe, is international too, right? No, he's not. He's from Missouri. Whoops. Regardless, most of their guys come from outside the United States. Cameron Williams is born in the center of the country. But anyways, it's a very international team. I think they're all right, but obviously this last stretch has not been kind to them. At one point, this team was 7-4. They're now 7-10, and they have just struggled to get going so far in WCC play. I think they're going to get close against Pacific tonight, but ultimately, I believe the Tigers should be able to edge this one out. Pacific is 2-2 so far in WCC play, kicking things off with some poor performances on the road, I should say. At USD, losing to the Toreos, who are more dangerous than we thought they were going to be this year. I understand they're 1-3 in the conference, but that's a very good 1-3, I should say. Losing at LMU does Pacific. Okay. Going at home game against Oregon State, blowing that team out by 31 points. Oregon State's awful. And then beating Pepperdine by 5 points. Obviously, Pepperdine's still yet to win a game so far this season in the WCC. Obviously, losing a lot of guys in the portal last season. But Pacific's first game on the road here since the back-to-back L's against San Diego, against Loyola Marymount. I think they get back on the right track. It is a Bennett team so far this year who has struggled on the road. I understand they have one victory on the road all year long, and it's in Colorado Springs against the worst team in the Mountain West. Maybe that's San Jose State now, but no, I personally still believe the worst team in the MWC is the Air Force Falcons. That's Pacific's only win on the road this year, but they have been right there in a lot of road spots, only losing at UNR by 1 point, losing at Cal, at Haas by just 6 points. Got blown out by 40 points by BYU, but that's expected. They've been competitive on the road, and I think tonight's the night they finally break through. Not because, they're due, no, because the talent is just better on U of P, and Portland's, they can't pick up a win right now to save their lives. And Pacific will have the best player on the court. We talk about the international talent over on Portland. We talk about Foxwell. We talk about Timo George. The best player on the court's Elias Ralph, the senior out of, is he Canadian? I think Elias Ralph's Canadian, right? Yeah, he's from Alberta, Canada. So, I mean, we've got international players all over the place in this one. But Elias Ralph, in my opinion, is going to be the best player on the court. Playing his senior season this season, was at Pacific last year, averaged 15 points per game, now averaging 17.5 this year. This is a big who is fairly dominant. Last 2 games for the Tigers, 24 points against Oregon State, 22 points against Pepperdine. If needed, he will play the entire game. So if it's a competitive one, we're not going to see Elias Ralph come off the court, and that's okay. TJ Wainwright, second leading scorer, obviously former Long Beach State Beach player. We've talked about TJ Wainwright a lot already. Former RMU player, comes over to Long Beach last year, has to play second fiddle all year long to Devin Askew, because Askew would take 1 million shots per game. Askew since has obviously made his way over to the Big East after playing in the Pac-12 and just every conference in college basketball. But Wainwright has gone to Pacific. He is still a number 2, but he's been a fairly solid number 2 this year, averaging 13 points per game, playing, the guard for this team. I think Pacific is just levels better than Portland, and I'm watching the Portland Pilots, and I've seen them since that huge victory that they had against Kent State. If you remember, we just needed them to cover like 7.5 points, and they ended up winning the game outright by 10. They have struggled mightily since that spot. We've seen them lose home games. I understand they're Wazoo and Santa Clara, but I do think Pacific's able to get it done as well. I'm going to go with the UFP Tigers to win the game straight up in Portland, Oregon against the Pilots, -140 for Pacific to get it done. I think the value's way too good to pass up on, in which should be a levels matchup, obviously in favor of the Tigers. We're sticking in the WCC conference again for the rest of the video, because, this is a big WCC day in general. Let's now move on to Los Angeles, California for the Loyola Marymount Lions and the San Francisco Dons. Why San Francisco is an underdog in this game, and albeit a slight underdog, I don't know. Easy money here for San Francisco. No, I shouldn't say that, okay? Nothing is ever easy money, just in life in general, obviously. But I'm taking San Francisco to win the game outright against Loyola Marymount. They are the better basketball team. I just watched LMU play Gonzaga, and I understand that's probably not the best game to get a sample size out of a team. It's obviously Gonzaga, but I've watched LMU throughout the course of the season. I think they're kind of going down the wrong path right now. Losing that close game at Wazoo wasn't too concerned. The Gonzaga game, and I understand it's Zaga, but watching that team play lifeless basketball to the point basically where it's unfortunate, they gave up. Okay, I watched that LMU team go into halftime and they just quit. It's sad, but it's the ultimate truth in that game. Okay, they did not come out to play in the second half. They're defeated. You return home before having to go back on the road as well. Just think about this from the perspective of Loyola Marymount, right? You start your year 6-0. Right? You don't beat great teams, but you cap off your first 6 victories with a win over in Santa Barbara against the Gauchos in overtime. You're pumped, okay? You go play your Feast Week tournament. You lose against Florida Atlantic. Okay, well, you go beat Ohio after that, and then you lose to Stony Brook. But still, you're 7-2 coming out of Thanksgiving. Okay. Then you lose to St. Louis at home by 20 points. You're off for 2 weeks, and you play UC San Diego. The Tritons beat you by 10. You beat UNA, you beat Morgan State, and then you kick off your WCC play. You're 9-4 going into it. You were once 6-0, and then you lose to St. Mary's. You beat U of P, but then you lose to Wazoo, and you lose to Zaga. And now you're returning home for one game where you're playing San Francisco, a late night spot, 8 o'clock over here on the West Coast. Trust me, the next game we have actually is even later somehow. It's no secret. Santa Clara versus Gonzaga. And then, but for LMU, you play San Francisco tonight, and then you got to go right back on the road. You got to go down to the Bay Area to play Santa Clara. Then you got to go up to Corvallis to play. You got to go up to San Francisco and play, or up to Santa Clara and play the Broncos, and then you got to go all the way up to Corvallis to take on Oregon State. So you're staring down another road trip after you just did a whole, 3 to 5 days over in Washington, and not even, Seattle. You were in East Washington to go to Pullman and Spokane. That's just Idaho at that point. And now you got to play one game at home, and you got to go back to you got to go back to NorCal, and then you got to go up to Corvallis. Sure, there's a lot of home games waiting for Loyola Marymount for their WCC schedule as the season moves on, but right now this is just such a treacherous spot for Loyola Marymount. Your season, you were 6-0, you're now 10-7. You've lost 3 out of your last 10 games. You basically give up in the second half, and really after the first, this team was up. Oh goodness, I forget the score, but they were winning. It was like 15-4, was it, against Gonzaga? 15-8 against Gonzaga, and the Bulldogs go on a 40-9 run, something like along the lines of that. Again, the team gave up. They had Gonzaga early, and we had the points on Loyola Marymount. I was feeling good about myself. I was thinking, oh crap, okay, maybe we're looking at another Seattle University situation. Maybe LMU's going to win the game outright, but obviously the Lions are no Seattle University Redhawks, man. The Redhawks, something else. But that team gives up. They can't score. They go 15 minutes without hitting a field goal. They did have some free throws in there, but they legitimately they went 15 minutes in that game without hitting a single shot from the field. Team gave up. And now you got to get hyped to play a San Francisco team who I believe is just way better than them. San Francisco has not played the difficulty of an LMU schedule so far, but they have one huge win. And it's going to Seattle and not obviously beating Washington, beating the best team that plays college basketball over in the city of Seattle, the Seattle University Redhawks. Now, Seattle University is 1-3 in the WCC. I know. You couldn't have asked for a tougher 4 first games to play, though. Okay, Seattle U may be 1-3 in the WCC. They played USF, Wazoo, Gonzaga, and St. Mary's. And oh, by the way, yeah, Zaga and St. Mary's, yeah, over in Spokane and Moraga. And then they're going to Corvallis today. They should win. San Diego at home, and then go host Gonzaga again. I mean, obviously everything's going to equal itself out, but Seattle U is being put through the ringer right now. It's absolutely absurd. Anyways. San Francisco has that big win over Seattle U. And so far, only the best teams in the conference have beaten Seattle University. Zaga, St. Mary's, 1A, 1B every single year, and then the Dons. And obviously that next tier is Santa Clara as well with the Dons, but again, Santa Clara, hold on a couple minutes. Anyways, San Francisco has that big win over Seattle, going on the road and beating that Redhawks team. They did lose in Corvallis, which is a little crap, but whatever. Is what it is. San Francisco since then goes on to beat San Diego and beats Portland. I'm telling you, LMU's out of sorts. LMU, I don't want to say they've given up on the season, but that team does not look like they want to be playing basketball right now. San Francisco, if they just punch Loyola Marymount in the mouth early, they should be able to win. Obviously they're going down south about like 5.5 hours, 6 hours over to Los Angeles. I like the experience on this team. Again, this is a San Francisco team that has a lot of returning players from their squad last season, a lot of experienced players on this team. Ryan Beasley, Tyrone Riley, Junie Wang. I mean, I don't know why I just named Wang out of all the guys who returned last season, but there was a lot of returning players on the San Francisco team. Obviously, they did lose some guys last season as well, but that's neither here or there. Because, I mean, obviously, Malik Thomas was him and Marcus Williams, but it is what it is. I mean, Riley and Beasley have stepped up this season, obviously, in the absence of Williams graduating and Malik Thomas going over to Virginia. I think San Francisco is going to be perfectly fine in this spot. I'm watching LMU. Again, they just don't look like they want to be there. Rodney Brown, Myron Amy, there's some good players on that team, but I'm so put off by that last game, man. I got to take San Francisco here. Give me the Dons on the road. I don't care. It's a road game for them. They are easily the better team, in my opinion. Give me San Francisco to go down to LA and beat the LMU Lions. Money line at -105 for the slight dogs over with the Dons. On to our final best bet of the video, of course, sticking in the WCC, because that's all we're doing today for the most part. Low-level college basketball plus the WCC. Santa Clara plus 15.5. Okay, 4-0 Santa Clara in the WCC versus 4-0 Gonzaga in the WCC. Give me the Broncos. Super late night spot, 8:30. Ooh, man, that's something. But hey, it gives us something to watch after the Fiesta Bowl. Fiesta Bowl is going to start at 4:30, so yeah, easily. Late night spot. 8:30 at night, Santa Clara versus Gonzaga. I mean, hell, it's going to almost be Friday on the East Coast when this game starts. And if there's some programming issues, obviously, and if things get bumped back a little bit, yeah, this game actually will start on Friday over on the East Coast. Santa Clara versus Gonzaga. This is why college basketball is special, because you had a game starting at 11:30 Eastern time. I am taking the Santa Clara Broncos to cover the points. We've seen the continued struggles out of Gonzaga, and I understand Loyola Marymount, they ended up blowing out. But I'm telling you, if LMU just actually, hit a shot once in 15 minutes, they put pressure back on Gonzaga, and just watch the first 8 minutes of LMU versus Gonzaga and tell me Gonzaga is not in trouble. Gramike is just chucking up threes. They can't work the ball down to Braden Huff at all. They look out of sorts. Loyola Marymount's not really scoring that much, but Loyola Marymount's getting back defensively. They're getting stops. They're forcing turnovers, and it's a low-scoring game that the Lions are winning early in Spokane. And now, okay, why does Gonzaga, by the way, get 3 home games in a row? We just talked about all these teams like Seattle U having to go on the road all the time. LMU's been on the road this entire time. Gonzaga gets 3 straight home games. I mean, what are we doing? This team's about to leave anyway. They're going to go to the Pac-12, regardless. Zaga, almost, again, I know they ended up winning the game 82-47. I'm telling you though, if LMU punched him in the mouth early and actually got going, that's a close game. That Zaga, yes, probably wins, but it's not a blowout. And Gonzaga, I'm talking about them like their ass. They're 16-1. I understand. They're still one of the best teams in college basketball. They're ranked 8th in the country right now. They've got one loss, and it's to Michigan, who's the best team in the country. I know, okay? Or Arizona. I don't know, whatever one you want to say. Okay? They've lost one game to one of the best teams in the country, and that's it. They have a huge win over Kentucky where they blew the Wildcats out. They beat Creighton. They beat Alabama. They beat Arizona State on the road. They beat Oklahoma, who sucks, but it's okay. They beat Oregon. There's some big wins this season, 100%. They beat Maryland by 40 points. There's some massive victories the Bulldogs have this season. I'm not denying that. Look at the WCC play, though. Pepperdine, first game on the road in Malibu. Whatever, you win by 40. Have it. The San Diego game over in San Diego, California, only winning the game by 6 points. Seattle U had them, game winning in overtime. Seattle University, can't believe I'm saying this, Seattle U blew a late game lead to Gonzaga. It was a game the Red Hawks should have won, but they lost. And it is what it is. That's college basketball. Obviously, Seattle U covered like the 20 points we were getting in that game. I'm just asking Santa Clara to cover 15.5. And here's the thing too, okay? For as much as we're hyping up the Red Hawks and Braden Maldonado this season, I love that team. For as much as I'm hyping them up, they're still not Santa Clara. We've been talking all year long, can Seattle University break into the second tier of the WCC? First tier of the Gales and the Bulldogs, second tier of the Broncos and the Dons. Can Seattle U break into that? Again, that time will only tell on that one. San Francisco's already beat them this year in Seattle. But again, Santa Clara is that established, proven team who's already in that second tier we talk about. And Santa Clara is going to give Gonzaga hell. They usually do, depending on the season, I understand. And I know they're going to Spokane here, but it's a team that can give Zaga problems. Last year, Santa Clara went to Spokane and won the game outright. They won it by 4 points. I understand Christoph Tilley is now over at Ohio State. Adama Alpha Ball is, I think, playing basketball overseas. I don't know if I've ever actually looked that one up. Regardless, right? I had some really good players last season who are no longer playing. Adama Alpha Ball's with the Knicks G League team. Did not know that. Anyways, so again, you have a G League player leave. Christoph Tilley leaves to Ohio State. I get it. Still, Santa Clara, though, is capable of going to Gonzaga and winning. And I say this all the time about the Broncos. This is a program, a college basketball program that is, it's a mid-major program that's actually built up, right? It's a mid-major that gets guys to stick around for 4 seasons. Obviously, they, hell, and that helps when you have Brandon Podziemski in the NBA. Jalen Williams is an all-star now in the NBA, obviously, and you set Adama Alpha Ball to go play for the next G League team. Christoph Tilley goes to Ohio State. I assume Tilley's going to get a shot somewhere in the NBA next season, likely a G League spot, but that's, again, Steve Nash, former MVP, obviously went to Santa Clara as well. There is tradition, there is a program history and lineage, I guess, of sorts with Santa Clara, and that's what helps them build a program and continue to get guys to come back to the program. And the big star this season for the Broncos by far has been Christian Hammond, the sophomore guard for this team's averaging 17 points per game. Last year came off the bench at Santa Clara, and this is what I'm talking about with the Broncos. They get guys to stick around. They get guys to commit to the program and buy into the program, and that's exactly what Christian Hammond is a product of. Plays 12 minutes per game last year and averages 4 to going from that to now averaging 30 minutes per game and averaging 17 points per game for this team too. Back-to-back games for Hammond where he scored 20 points against Pepperdine, 21 against San Diego. And yes, Santa Clara hasn't played the elite team yet of Gonzaga. They only beat Oregon State, Portland on the road, Pepperdine at home, and San Diego at home. And I know they did lose at home to Loyola Chicago. No, that was a neutral site, but still, that was absolutely awful. That was in Santa Cruz. Still, taking Santa Clara to keep it close. Okay, the only game this team's been blown out this season in was the New Mexico game, where, of course, we may have had Santa Clara. New Mexico is coming off another loss to New Mexico State. What do you want me to do? I still like the talent on Santa Clara. Again, we talk about how great Christian Hammond's been this season. Elijah Mahi comes back, obviously, for another year. Kind of got buried beneath a guy like Adama Alpha Ball last season. Mahi, I know, again, they don't do entirely the same thing, but, Adama Alpha Ball and, honestly, Christoph Tilley. Mahi does kind of what Adama Alpha Ball does, too. Regardless, Mahi's in his senior year. He's playing well. He's averaging 15. Hammond's averaging 17. The big problem, obviously, always playing Gonzaga is how do you deal with the bigs? How do you deal with Huff and Ike? Okay, well, there's guys the Broncos have. I mean, they've got Alan Graves, you got Bucky Aboye. Aboye is a huge body. This is a player who is 7-1 in a sophomore season, averaging 9 points per game. But of course, he's huge. He's 7-1, third year at Santa Clara. There's Alan Graves, who does lead the team in rebounds. Obviously, he's not going to get likely the Huff matchup, but there are big plays. There's big play on the Santa Clara team, which I believe is good enough for them to compete tonight. And I don't even need them to win. We just need them to go to Spokane and cover 15.5 points. The same exact location last year where they won. And this is not like every other program in the country where everyone's new. No, all these guys last season walked into Spokane and won. Sure, Tilly's gone, Adama Alpha Ball's gone. The rest of the lineup was still there last season. A lot of these guys, most of these guys played in the game last year. Mahi played in this game. Aboye, I believe, played in that game last year very limitedly, I believe, for like 5 minutes. But all these guys played in that game last year when they went to Spokane and won. They believe they can get it done again this season, and we just need them to cover 15.5 points. The Broncos will play this game tight. It's just what WCC ball is. Give me Santa Clara on the road, plus 15.5 against Gonzaga. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on January 8th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.